Assalamu alaikum. Thank you very much for joining our live orientation session for the IELTS test prep. I'll be your coach, your mentor, your guide. Inshallah, I'll help you prepare and get the confidence that you can take 7 plus in your IELTS exam. Today, the purpose is basically I want to give you an idea as to about the test itself, and then we'll talk about my teaching style and what are some of the key areas that we'll focus on and why you should take this course. All right. With that said, let me put it, if you don't mind putting my slides on. And during the test, during this session, if you like, we can very easily, I'll be happy to take any questions. Please put it on the chat, and then we will just take it from there. So, what you will learn, right? So in this course, what you'll learn is that you learn about the IELTS test procedure and format, and that's an easy part, but it's an extremely important part because a lot of people go unprepared. They know the material, but they haven't really familiarized themselves with how to take it, the best practices of taking the test, how to manage your time, how to transition from one section to the other, what kind of energy, what kind of things that you need to bring to your center. Secondly, you will learn, test taking strategies and what can you be doing, how much time you need to prepare for it, and when would you know that you're actually ready to make that investment and pay the fee so you can go and take the test. Here's what we'll work on. We'll work on your English reading, writing, listening, and speaking skills, because these are all the required skills. So a little bit about myself. I am not going to brag too much, but just to set perspective, I'm a language coach, which means that I teach. I'm a writer and technologist. I've been teaching writing on culture, politics, and technology since 1986. I actually started teaching English as a second language at a small coaching center in Karachi in 1986. I loved that job. Further on the line, I actually moved to America about 30 years ago to do my studies. After that, I stayed here, and I've been teaching on and off English to different communities, different groups, different organizations, and lately I have been helping people pass their IELTS exam. I've held several media, communication, and technology positions. I've worked for corporate America for the most part of my life. I studied anthropology, so I didn't study English. I studied anthropology at New School University in New York, and I'm a PhD candidate in interreligious dialogue and diplomacy at Euclid University. Well, that's enough about myself. Now, what I'm going to do is, here is my commitment to you, that at the end of this course, in this boot camp, you'll listen, speak, read, and write better than you do now. That's my commitment to you. That if you give me time and if you give me the same energy that I'm going to put in getting you prepared, you will, inshallah, gain the confidence to score 7 plus. You will have to put in your time, depending on where you start. If you start at an intermediate level, where most of my Pakistani friends who have an undergrad degree, they usually start at an intermediate level. Most of them are good at reading and writing. They're also good at listening, but when it comes to speaking, that's where they need some of the help. So I would focus on that, but I'll make sure that all 4 sections are covered. So what's my teaching methodology? I work with a task-based language teaching. This is a student-centered approach to second language instruction. And no matter which language you're learning, English or Arabic or French or German, task-based language teaching has shown a lot of promise. There's been a lot of studies. Just Google it and you'll know what I'm talking about. So activities during these 6 weeks, and each week would have 2 sessions of 1 hour each. In these activities will focus on meaningful tasks, right? So we will not be looking at incendiary and ancillary stuff. Our meaningful task will be situations you'll encounter in the real IELTS exam. So that will be our main that will be our main goal. I will focus on information gap activities after I have a basis of what everybody knows. I will focus on reasoning gap activities and opinion gap activities, because if you think about it, you can break it down to grammar, logic, and rhetoric. These are the three basic things that I will make it accessible to you in a meaningful fashion, in an easy to understand fashion. So I do have some requirements for the class, of course, right? And first of all, you need to believe in yourself. You need to tell yourself, convince yourself that you can do it, that you're ready for it, and you must participate. You must participate in every session. If you're not joining the session and not participating, you're basically, wasting your time. And ask questions. Only stupid question is the one that you didn't ask. There are no stupid questions. And I highly recommend that you don't judge yourself. Don't judge yourself where you start. If you have accent, if you are not pronouncing something right, if you're not sure about a word, if you're not sure about a sentence, your punctuation, your article, please don't worry. Don't judge yourself. And also, please don't judge any one of your peers either. Don't judge anyone else either. I will be giving you practice tests. I will be giving you homework. So please don't tell me that dog ate your homework, because that won't work with me unless you can show me a picture of your dog. I love dogs, by the way. I can show you my picture as well. What do you need for this? Of course, you need to have a computer, right? I'm assuming that we are going to be talking to each other on Zoom, so you have access to internet. You have access to a device where you can watch internet. Some people do it in mobile. I recommend doing it in sitting in front of a computer and taking it seriously that way. Again, you have to take notes, take copious notes, because I will be dropping in things, dropping in notes, tips and tricks that you could do to make this test easy for you. So you've got to own a notebook, a pencil, or a pen. But a reminder, when you go to take your test, don't take a pen, take a pencil, because you will not, if you put a pen, if you use a pen in your real test, your scores will not come out right. So test format. It's actually 2 hours and 45 minutes, but I put in 2 hours and 55 minutes here because of the transition time and what it takes to go from one section to the other. So it all starts with the listening, and listening has 4 sections. There are 40 items, and you have 40 minutes. Then in the reading and writing section, there's two separate tests, depending on whether if you're taking the IELTS to get admission in a university, or you're taking it for general purposes, for an embassy to get a visa, if you're applying for a visa, or if your job requires you to take it. So those are 2 separate areas, and you'll have to do reading no matter which section you go in. And there are some subtleties, and I'll go over those subtleties. So in the reading, there will be, again, 3 sections, and it's a 40-minute test, and it's a 60-minute test, I'm sorry, and it has 40 items. And I'll show you how you can maximize your reading skills as well, how to first skim a paragraph and then go back and read it. And I'll show you how to take notes while you're reading as well. And then you'll have to take the academic writing or general writing test. And there are 2 tasks in there. There's 60 minutes. You have to be very diligent. You cannot make silly mistakes, I would say, right? I mean, there are mistakes that we all learn that has become part of our writing, and we do that. Some of us don't know how to use punctuation properly. Some of us don't know how to use article properly, and some of us don't know how to use either one of them, right? So we'll work on that as well. In the writing section, we'll also work on looking at your syntax, the structure, the kind of words that you use, your vocabulary, the use of synonyms and antonyms. If you're right, the eloquence of your writing will show up, and I will help you get to that. And then finally, in the speaking section, right? I mean, you have a little interview, and actually in today's session, what I thought I would do is I'll walk you through the speaking section rather quickly. All right. So at this part, I usually ask people to introduce themselves, but I will let you introduce yourself while in your WhatsApp group. Hoping that you will join our WhatsApp group. Uh, Take a minute, write down what you're going to say, and but this should be the format when you're sending your audio in our WhatsApp group. Tell me your name. Uh, why are you here? Tell us something fun, your favorite movies, songs, sports, something that you tell me about you, who you are, right? And you have 60 seconds to prepare for it, and then I'm not going to randomly call upon you right now, but please go ahead and record your voice and send it to me, and I will give you feedback individually, each one of you. All right. With that said, next, my ask usually is, if anyone can read this. Uh, it's a Jane Austen paragraph. Usually the purpose of this activity is that you read it carefully. I give you a minute or two to read it, and then ask you a question based on your reading. So if you're watching this, later on, please go back to the previous slide, pause it, read this, and then come back to then forward the video a little bit, and then go and take this test. See what you can do. And after you've done that, again, give me your answer on WhatsApp. I am there. I'm there. I won't say I'm there 24/7. After all, I'm a human. But my team is also there. Somebody is going to be able to help give you a response within 24 hours. Okay. So our service level objective is that we respond to everybody within 24 hours. All right. With that said, let's talk a little bit about the scoring, right? So as you all know, I'm assuming that if you're preparing for IELTS tests, you know that you can score anywhere from 0 to 9. 0 being that you did not attempt the test. You basically, what we say is you show up and throw up. So you went there and you didn't do anything. And 1 being a non-user. And it goes all the way up to 9, expert user, right? So well, inshallah, one day you'll get to the expert user as well, and I will guide you to it. In these 6 weeks. I can't commit that you'll become an expert user, because that requires a lot of reading, a lot of practice, but you will be a good user. You will be a 7 or higher. There's no reason if your baseline is good. Look, if you're coming in without knowing the basics of English, if you don't know how to write a sentence, then getting to a good user may not be realistic for you. But if you have a intermediate level of English understanding, if you can read a newspaper, if you can pick up Dawn and read the newspaper and understand most of what you're reading, if you can write an email, you can get to the good user part. All right. So as I promised, today let's talk about the speaking. Now, as I said, most of your fellow citizens, and not only from Pakistan. I mean, I teach folks from Africa and different parts of Asia and different parts of Middle East. They seem to, they most of them do well in the reading and writing portion of it, but when it comes to speaking, they find it very challenging. But it doesn't have to be challenging. It doesn't have to be challenging, and I promise you, if you're paying attention, you will inshallah have that confidence that you can walk into that test center for your one-on-one, and without sweating, you would know what you were going to do because you would have your playbook in advance with you. You would have it in your head. What is the template? What's my format? What kind of a question will I be could I be asked? And how do I need to tell this story? How do I tell my narrative? Because one-on-one test is not a yes and no answer, right? So if somebody was to ask you, how are you? Now, just saying, I'm well, how are you? It's sufficient in a day life. But maybe you need to expand on that a little bit when you have your when you go and take one of these tests, right? So here's what you need to do. Part one is greetings and introduction. So, hey, my name is Ibrahim Malik. I'm here to take my IELTS test. Really nice meeting you. That kind of stuff. Oh man, if the weather is so bad, or I got stuck in traffic. Imagine a road was all clogged up. I had to back up, or it's so hot, or it's raining so much. Whatever, right? I mean, that kind of a customary conversation you would have initially. Part two is where you will get a cue card, right? A cue card will give you the topic, and they'll tell you what are some of the things that you need to talk about, and you'll have 1 minute to prepare for that cue card, that topic, and you'll have an extended speaking. And part three usually culminates from your part two. So if you're talking about a movie for per se in your topic cue card, it's very much possible that your interviewer will start asking you more questions about that movie in the interview as well, right? So what is your examiner looking for, right? They're looking for fluency and coherence. They want to understand that you speak without hesitation. They're do not worry about your accent, by the way, right? Uh, Accent is not an issue here. And some people ask me, oh, should I be doing the American accent? They tell, oh, Mr. Malik, you have American accent. Should I be copying you? And I tell them, no, don't copy the accent. Just get the confidence to speak fluently, right? Then we'll look at the lexical resource. And how that is that, what kind of words are you using? Uh, are they precise? Are you using, are you repeating yourself constantly? Are you repeating the same word over and over again? And then they will look for grammatical range and accuracy, right? If you could use a simple sentence or a complex sentence, and how do you pivot from a simple to complex and pivot back to a simple? So that's kind of a pyramid that I'll walk you through. Pronunciation, as I said, do not worry about accent. Accent is not what you're looking for here. You need to be able to speak clearly the way I'm speaking right now, so that anyone can understand when they're talking to you, right? So that's basically what it is. It's like when you speak Urdu or Sindhi or Punjabi or whatever your first language is, when you speak that language, you may have a different accent, right? I mean, think about it. If someone is speaking Urdu, if they were born and raised and studied in Peshawar, they will have a different accent. But if they were speaking clearly, no matter if you understand Urdu, you'll understand them. So that's the kind of a thing that you need to keep in your mind. So don't stress over your accent at all. Now, like I said, part one is basic, right? It's 4 to 5 minutes. You'll greet the examiner, make some short, polite introductions. Then you answer around 12 questions of familiar common topics, right? You have to give extended answers to questions. Don't just say yes. If somebody says, hey, do you like biryani? Don't just say yes. Say, hey, I love biryani, and you know what? The best biryani that you can find is on Bunce Road in Karachi. Or, my God, don't go to that store where everybody thinks they have the best biryani, but no, they're overrated. So that's what I mean when I say extended response. Like overly short answers will lose your mark, right? They will not. And heuristically speaking, which means that looking at the history and past experiences, most often the questions are about family, friends, work, your hobbies, sports, or your studies, right? So these are the questions that that you should be able to talk about without having to learn something new. This is not a subject matter test. They're not asking you about Big Bang theory or quantum physics, or they're not asking you to explain a part of a theology. This is something that you do, that you taught, that a friend would ask you, right? If you went and you saw a friend after a really long time, they would be having that kind of a conversation with you. So this is actually a really good place to build that rapport with your interviewer, to make them feel as if they now know you, as if you're a friend. And a couple of tips that I'll give you is that, your gesture, your posture, all of these things matter. The smile on your face matters. That the warmth in your voice and your warmth in your eyes, that matters. And these are all things that you can control and get the highest possible score in here. Now, after you've done that, then you go to part two. This is again 3 to 4 minutes. You will be given a cue card and asking you to describe a common topic, right? Cricket, for example, right? If they ask you about cricket, they'll tell you what do they need to know about cricket, right? You on this card, you'll have prompts. So the prompts that they give you, you will have to pivot from those points. You'll have to use those points, rephrase them or restate them depending on the situation, and you'll have a minute to prepare for that. So use that minute properly. I'll give you a mental template on how to build that, how to use that 1 minute, and what are the things that you're going to think about or write or jot down. Once you've done that, right? So you're going to talk I would say at least for 2 minutes. If you're talking for 1 minute, it's not that good. But don't worry if you go over 2 minutes, because the examiner will stop you. The worry would be is that if you don't have enough material to speak for 2 minutes, right? But if you speak for 2 minutes, if you have time and if you manage your time properly, and if you're coming to that 2 minutes, I would show you how you conclude this section as well. And look, there are a broad range of topics that could be presented here, right? It could be sports, arts, education, right? Books, holidays, places that you want to go, some historical event. But it'll be a general topic, a topic that an educated person should be able to communicate about it, right? So that's basically what this part is talking to you about. Then in the third section, you take 4 to 5 minutes, right? So this is basically your examiner is going to start asking you a question. The speaking test, you'll answer more questions from the examiner, so they will be asking you a pointed question, right? This is not a scripted part, so this will be you'll have to be comfortable going off your script and giving an answer, just like anybody else would, right? And an answer would not be a yes or no answer. Even if it is a yes or no answer, I'll show you how to add details, the context, color to your responses. So they will, in this, what they're looking for basically is your confidence here. They're looking for, does this person really know how to have a conversation, or did they just memorize 3 test prep courses and they've come here? Because you could have done the other 2 things through templates, right? Through doing a lot of test practice. This one here needs a lot more confidence, and I'll show you how to build that confidence, inshallah. Now, I think I've discussed this before, but I'm going to repeat myself here, because this is very important. Because when I'm teaching students from non-English speaking countries, they immediately think that this test is all about accent, right? And like I said, there's no, first of all, think about the challenge, right? If you're taking an IELTS exam, if you're applying for a visa to migrate to Australia, you may think that Australian accent is good for you. Yeah, but maybe the examiner that they will have a British accent. So, what good is that? So instead of focusing on either American, any one set of accent, because even when you say American accent, right, there are multiple accents inside America as well. So if someone hears me, they would pretty much know about that I live in New York, that I've been living in New York for a really long time. If when I speak to someone from Georgia, I know the minute they open their mouth, right? The minute they say something, I know that they are from South. There's no favorite style or accent in the IELTS speaking test. I'm going to repeat myself. Do not worry about it, right? The main thing is that can you clearly, eloquently speak and express yourself? Can you have a simple conversation the way that the kind of conversation that I'm having with you right now? Can you have this kind of a conversation for an extended period of time with uh, anyone? It could be your examiner, and tomorrow when you go to the university, that you'll walk into the student advisor or counselor's office. You would need to have that conversation. Or even when you land on the airport, you will start to have the conversation, either at the immigration desk, or when you're getting your stuff from the customs, or when you need to go out and get a taxi, unless of course you're very lucky and someone is waiting for you out there to pick you up and ride you. If you call an Uber, you'll have to talk to them. So that's basically what you're preparing for in this section. Okay. Now I have some backup slides. I am not going to go into the backup slides. I hope that this has given you a decent set of ideas about my teaching style. It has given you some ideas as to what we are going to be learning, and how we will interact. So there will be Zoom sessions will be hosted in Zoom twice a week, 1 hour each. The course will run for 6 weeks, so that's 12 hours of live learning. But for every hour of learning, I need you to study about 3 hours. So every week, I'm expecting you to invest about 6 hours of your time in preparing for this course. And I will guarantee you, inshallah, I shouldn't guarantee anything, inshallah, if you make that investment, I have not seen anyone who has not done better, who has not improved significantly by making that kind of investment. And I promise you, you will too. Once again, to close this up, at the end of this course, you will listen, speak, read, and write better than you do today. And you will, inshallah, gain confidence to score 7+. With that said, my name is Ibrahim Sajid Malik, and I will be at your service. If there are any questions, we can take it. All right, so it looks like we have questions only on chat, and they have been answered. So thank you very much for listening in today. I hope I've helped you at least understand the test process. I've given you some confidence to take the test, and I hope that you will come back and join our class. Until then, Assalamu alaikum. Inshallah, we'll meet again.